What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Locked in Sports. Bringing you my 6 best bets for today, Sunday, March 17th, in the NBA. Before we hop into today's picks, we got to do a little recap sesh of last time. Last time was 2 days ago. I didn't get a video out yesterday. I am sorry about that. My schedule was just a lot, and I didn't have an opportunity to get a video out and film it and edit it and do good research before the game started, because that is the thing. I want to get out good research. I want to get out good picks that aren't just ones I have a gut feeling about, but are ones that are backed by stats. And that can take a good 2-3 hours worth of research. And if I don't have time to put in the good research, I'm not going to put the picks out there. We have a good winning record on this channel. I think we're about 13-8 overall. We're still starting. We're still pretty new. But that's a good record, and I'm not going to tarnish that by throwing out whatever picks that I haven't researched. So, what are the picks from last time? From Friday, it was a 3-2 day, so not terrible, pretty solid. I like that. It's a winning day. What hit for us? What didn't? Well, Jalen Suggs went over his points line. He got 5 points in the first quarter. Michael Porter Jr., legend over here on Locked In Sports, also went over his first quarter points line. He had 6. His line was at 4.5. Awesome. Those two were pretty sweat free. Those guys hit it early. They hit it hard. And Jalen Johnson had a great game. Had a 36 PRA. His line was at 29.5. He was another sweat free bet. Now, what didn't hit for us? Franz Wagner just barely cleared his PRA line. He really did decide to show up and play great for once. The one time we bet is under, he shows up. That was rough. And John Collins, where did that come from? Dropping 11 points in the first quarter when we take his under, after dropping 5 his entire last game against Atlanta is wild and unfortunate, but it's how it goes sometimes. Overall, 3-2 day, winning day. Never going to complain about that. Brings us up to 13-8 on the channel. I like that record. I'm really proud of that record. Let's make it a better record today. Let's make this a 19-8. Try to get that 6-0 sweep. All right, let's hop into the picks. My first pick for today is Damian Lillard, Dame time, over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. He's been averaging 5 rebounds and 7.3 assists in his last 10, and he's over this line in his last 3 games. It's really as simple as that. He's really finding his rhythm, rebounding and assisting and being a playmaker, and that's great. That's great for this line. That's great for this prop. Yeah, not too much to it. It's going to be a competitive game, and I just see a lot of Dame to Giannis plays going on, and I like that. So Dame for over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. Next pick, we're heading over to the Detroit versus Miami game. And I'm backing a player that you might not be used to betting on. I'm not used to betting on him either. It's Simone Fontecchio, and we're taking his over 12.5 points. Why are we backing Simone Fontecchio? Because he just dropped 24 on the Heat in his last game they played each other. And he's averaging 19.3 points against the Heat. So he's been killing them, and he's averaging 15.7 over his last 10. I think the stat books just have this line ridiculously low. I think they could bump up this line by like 5 points, and then it would be a fair over-under. 12.5 is wild. There's really no other way to look at it. If you look at his last 10, you look at his most recent game, you look at the matchup, he kills this line, really, no matter how you look at it. If you want to take first quarter points because you're worried about a blowout, that's valid, but The last game they just played wasn't a blowout, really, and the line only has a 6.5 point spread. So they're predicting the Heat to win pretty favorably, but not in blowout fashion. And Jimmy Buckets might not play. He doesn't play. It's even less of a blowout. So really, I like full game here. But hey, you want to take first quarter, power to you. Anyway, I'm taking Simone Fontecchio for over 12.5 points. Now, hopping over to what honestly might be the most exciting game of the day. I got two picks from this matchup, and it is the Dallas versus Denver matchup. The Mavs and the Nuggets are going at it. This is a really fun game. You got Luka and you got Joker going up against each other, which two top tier MVP candidates right there. But I'm not backing either of them. Sorry. Um, I like Luka's point line. I'll talk about it at the end. But what I like a lot more is actually Kyrie's assist line. I'm taking Kyrie Irving for over 4.5 assists. Why? Well, he's averaging 4.7 over his last 10, which is just above this line. But he dropped 7 on Denver the one time they've played each other. And in his last 2 games, he's dropped 12 and 10. He's really finding his rhythm being a playmaker and passing the ball. And I don't see that streak stopping with this game. I think that in a game this important, really this intense, this close, Kyrie is going to be dishing it out and dropping a lot of dimes, probably to Luka, probably to a lot of players. So 4.5 just feels low for what Kyrie's been putting up recently. So I'm easily taking Kyrie Irving for over 4.5 assists. Now, over to the other side of this game, I'm backing a player from Denver. It's not Michael Porter Jr. I'm sorry. I liked his line. I didn't love it. I actually like his counterpart, the other forward on the Nuggets. I like Aaron Gordon here for over 22.5 PRA. He's been averaging 14, 5.7, and 3.9 over his last 10, which is around this line. But against Dallas, he's averaging 19.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. He really shows up to play the Mavericks. He's over in 3 of his last 5 games, but the 2 that he's not over in were games he didn't play full minutes in, and they were blowout games. Whenever he's had a competitive game recently, he has hit this line. He's hit it really strongly, really well. And this game I think, has a 1.5 spread. It's supposed to be a really close game. You look at it, it's Luka, it's Joker, it's the Mavericks, it's the Nuggets. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a competitive game. And I think that if Aaron Gordon is ever going to show up, he's showing up tonight. This afternoon. It's an early game. What am I talking about? But yeah, Aaron Gordon for over 22.5 PRA. Next up, get ready for some deja vu for the recap section of the video because I'm backing Jalen Suggs. This time I'm taking his over 11.5 points, his full game points line, because he just dropped 16 on Toronto. He averages 17 against Toronto, and he's been averaging about 12.8 over his last 10. He's proved that he can hit his full game points line against Toronto. So if you want to take first quarter, if you're worried about a blowout, I don't hate it. This is supposed to be one of the more blowouty games of the day, but I think Suggs just dropped 17 on Toronto in his last match. I don't know why his line's at 11.5. It feels, again, like a mess up by the sports book where they could raise this line by 5, and then I'd feel like it's a fair evaluation, a fair over under. But when it sits at 11.5, we have to take advantage of that. This is an easy over. I think Suggs just does what he did last time again. Yeah. Jalen Suggs over 11.5 full game points. All right, guys. Heading to the last pick of the day, pick number 6. I'm taking from the Clippers versus Hawks matchup, James Harden for over 3.5 first quarter points. Why am I back in the beard here? It's because last time he played the Hawks, he dropped 9 points on them in the first quarter. Had a great first quarter. He had a great game, actually, dropping 30 on them overall. But this is a potential blowout. The Clippers are projected to be on the more blowout-y side of this matchup and beat the Hawks. So I'd rather back Harden's first quarter points. I mean, really, the man needs 2 buckets in the first quarter. 2 layups, 2 twos, 2 easy shots. And he hits this line. He's been averaging about 3.9 first quarter points over his last 10 games. So he's averaging above this line. It's a great matchup for him. He's proved he can do it before. He's proved he can go over double this line, almost triple this line. So I think it's no brainer, honestly. Yeah. James Harden for over 3.5 first quarter points. All right. That wraps up my 6 best bets for today, Sunday, March 17th in the NBA. Now, before the video ends, I'd like to give you guys my cutting room floor picks. If you're new to the channel, I give this little speech at the end of every video, but I dig up a lot of picks in my research. I dug up 16 today in about a 3-hour research sesh. And I don't just like abandoning all these picks I dig up because a lot of them are really good picks. They just don't make my top 6. So I'm going to hand them out. And if they're picks that you were already looking at, they're for players you like, or you just really, really need something to add to a parlay, here they are. I'm going to rattle them off real quick. First off, we have Bradley Beal over 18.5 points. We took this bet the other day, hit for us, sweat-free. He's been averaging 20 over his last 10. He dropped 25 last time against Milwaukee. I'll take that pick any day. It's a great one. Grayson Allen over 11.5 points. He's been averaging 15.2 over his last 10. He's over this line in 4 out of 5. The only issue is he only had 8 against Milwaukee last time, which is a little concerning. Jaden Ivey under 24.5 PRA. He averages 11.3, 2.3, and 5.3 against the Heat, and it's a potential blowout game. But he did just go over this line. So, yeah. Jalen Duren for over 3 first quarter rebounds. He averages 3.7 against the Heat. He got 17 in their last matchup for the full game. But again, potential blowout. So I was looking at first quarter. Luka Doncic, I mentioned it earlier. Luka Doncic for over 31.5 points. He's been averaging 34.6 over his last 10. He averages 36 against Denver. If you want to take his PRA, I like that too. Yeah, I'm expecting a great Luka game. I might honestly also look at Luka to get a triple-double if you really want some nice plus money, because he's been hitting it a lot recently. He's been averaging a triple-double. So yeah. Emmanuel Quickly for under 21.5 points. He's been averaging about 20.3 points over his last 10, but he only averages 11 points against the Magic. He just scored 10 against them last game. So it's really not a good matchup for Quickly. But I think he can do better. Still, I wasn't confident in backing it. Kawhi Leonard for a really weird stat here. Kawhi Leonard under 2 first quarter rebounds. He got 0 last time he played the Hawks. He only had 2 the entire game, and he's been averaging 1.8 over his last 10. Really, this line, I think, worst case scenario, it pushes and it hits 2 even, but I don't think he's going over this in any world. Paul George for under 34.5 PRA. We took his under PRA before and it hit for us. It's really the same deal here. He has a bad matchup. He's been averaging about or just under this line for his last 10. But he has hit in the 2 most recent games, so it all kind of evens out to where I feel confident in the pick, but a little iffy there just because he's had a good last couple games. Ivica Zubac for under 23.5 PRA. Oh my gosh, same deal as Paul George. Bad matchup, but he is under in his last 3, and it's a potential blowout. And if you want to take any of his individual lines, you go under with points or under with rebounds, that's all valid. I think his lines just overall are just irregularly high because he wasn't there for their last matchup against the Hawks. So I think the sports books are thinking he's going to do better than he is, but it's a potential blowout, and they're just setting his lines irregularly high. So I like under really anywhere there. And Bogdan Bogdanovic for over 7 rebounds plus assists. He averages 3 rebounds and 6 assists against the Clippers. And he's been averaging 3.8 and 4.2 over his last 10 games. And he's over this line in his last 4 games. So, yeah, that's another potential pick for you. Honestly, I really, really like a lot of the cutting room floor picks for today, and those are ones that I might be looking at to take myself. Quite a few of them. As I'm reading them off, I'm like, I want to take these picks, but I want to lock in about my 6 best. That's where I try to cap myself off at because I don't want to come out here and try to give you guys 16 picks that I'm guaranteeing are all going to hit. No, I'm going to find my best 5, 6, maybe 4 picks and give them out, the ones I can really lock in. So thank you guys for watching till the end of this really long episode of Locked In Sports. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys a lot. I said this in the last video, but the support has been overwhelming. The likes, the comments, the subscribers, the views have all been phenomenal, and thank you guys so much for that. So, as always, subscribe, turn on notifications, like the video. It really helps out the channel. It really does help out the channel, and it lets me know that you guys like the content that I'm making, and it encourages me to keep making these videos and keep putting in lots of research. And leave a comment. Comment your own picks, your own parlays. Comment if you're fading one of my picks if you don't like it. Let me know. I love it when parlays get left in the comments. I think it's really awesome. And I will admit, I do copy some of those parlays. I think they're pretty solid picks. But that's going to be all for today. Thank you again for watching until the very end of me yapping about my channel, yapping about sports. Appreciate it. But that is going to be all. So thank you guys very much for watching. Let's make some money and have a good one. Yeah.